Bloomberg Audio Studios. Podcasts, radio, news.
The Stock Movers Report, your roundup of companies making moves in the stock market, harnessing the power of Bloomberg data.
Well, let's take a look at some stocks on the move today. In Europe, I'm Stephen Carroll and I'm joined by Bloomberg's breaking news editor, Louise Moon. Louise, good morning. Let's start with one of the big movers this morning. Air France shares currently up 10% in Paris. They've been a little higher earlier in the session. What's driving those shares higher?
Yeah, exactly. They were up as much as 14% this morning. So, and then, looking back, that's taking their 12-month gains to over 50%. So really giving a big boost this morning. That's after their fourth quarter earnings. They came in much better than expected. So, for example, annual operating profit, that exceeded 2 billion euros for the first time. So all quite positive. Their commentary was quite interesting. They're very upbeat, essentially, about transatlantic travel. So they expect that to continue. They're saying there's a lot of premium demand. That's their bright spot, expecting capacity to rise essentially on the back of that going forward. Their budget side does slightly still remain under pressure, with wider kind of, the cost of living concerns, particularly impacting their budget section, but premium is a really bright spot, and that transatlantic premium in particular. So good news for them, particularly after in November they had said that they were under a lot of pressure to review the business model of KLM because of a host of issues, partly on airport charges, inflation, and a few other things as well. So this set of results today and is providing some reassurance, as you can see in their share price, and they stuck as well to their medium-term guidance. So a lot of positive indicators there.
Yeah, indeed. It was interesting to see the snow and ice that disrupted flights at Amsterdam and Paris airports at the start of the year, going to cost them 90 million euros this quarter as well. So perhaps a little bit of a fly in the ointment of those results from Air France-KLM. Let's stay with planes and turn to Airbus next. Their shares are down over 7% this morning, and criticism of the company that supplies them engines for their planes.
Yeah, not so much of a positive story for them. So this is all, as you say, centraling around Pratt & Whitney, so they're a provider of engines. So Airbus have forecast their overall aircraft deliveries for 2026 to be about 870 planes. So that's lower than previous estimates. They also say that going into, by the end of next year, monthly production of their A320s might fall short of 75 units. And this is all because of supply chain constraints, all centered around Pratt & Whitney, what they say, Pratt & Whitney falling short of contractual obligations. So, this has been an ongoing story within the industry of issues for Pratt & Whitney's engines and therefore the knock-on effect that has through the supply chain. And so Airbus really kind of came out with some fighting talk this morning. The CEO was saying, we won't give up. We're not satisfied with the low level. It's insufficient, and kind of opening up that confrontation between them and one of their main parts suppliers, Pratt & Whitney. And they said that they expect that issue to continue going forward. But as I say, they're trying to tackle that. So shares fell in France on the back of this, down almost 6% at one point this morning.
Let's go from planes then to miners. Rio Tinto shares down currently about 3.9%. And this is after their earnings out this morning.
Yeah, they had their full year earnings. They came in relatively flat. Essentially, they had seen improvements in their copper and aluminium space, but that failed to offset a lot of other issues. So that was US tariffs, one-off restructuring costs. And then in particular, it's got very high exposure to the iron ore market, which has been a lot weaker, particularly down to China. So even though they had some improvements in some areas, those other areas, and as I say, particularly iron ore, failed to offset that. It kind of shows or demonstrates why there's been a lot of talk in the industry about M&A within mining, and in particular when it comes to Rio, there had obviously been talks of a tie-up with Glencore, which was abandoned earlier this month. But these miners potentially merging or in some way or form is with the aim to increase exposure to metals like copper that are providing the boost at the moment. So Rio said that going forward, they're going to focus on their own growth and, go at it alone and prove that they can do that without Glencore. And miners leading the declines across Europe today, partly on the back of Rio's results.
The Stock Movers Report from Bloomberg Radio. Check back with us throughout the day for the latest roundup of companies making news on Wall Street. And for the latest market-moving headlines, listen to Bloomberg Radio live. Catch us on YouTube, Bloomberg.com, and on Apple CarPlay and Android Auto with the Bloomberg Business app.